5 of Stick to Sports. I'm Ben Diamond.
And I'm Brian Burrows. Today we've got the NBA, March Madness, and the MLB.
Roll it. New York Knicks guard Jalen Brunson dropped 61 points against the San Antonio Spurs in a losing effort, which saw the Knicks drop the game in overtime 130 to 126. The Knicks struggled out of the gate, but were able to give the Spurs a run for their money. However, with Brunson on the bench, the Knicks struggled to find scoring consistency, which would be their downfall. With the Knicks continuing to struggle without Brunson on the court, how important are Julius Randle and OG Anunoby in the team's success heading into the playoffs, Brian?
I mean, they're very important. You cannot just rely on one player when you get into the playoffs. 61 points from Brunson, excellent game, but you said it. He was the only contributing factor really in this game, which they lost to the Spurs, a not good team. They're going to need Randle, they're going to need Anunoby to step up, plus other players. I mean, Anunoby's defense since he has come over from the Raptors this season has been obvious, like how good it's been, but they're going to need them to be extra scorers for them. Last year, Randle in the playoffs, 16 per game score. They're going to need that plus maybe a little more. Anunoby in his last playoffs appearance, which was in 2022, was a 17 per game score. Probably need to be about there as well. They're going to need them both to step up. It's going to have to be kind of a three-headed monster and not just all Jalen Brunson when you get to the playoffs.
I mean, that's absolutely true. I mean, he's averaging 27.9 points, almost 28 points per game, 6.5 assists. He's shooting almost 48% from the field and 40% from three. Brunson's doing everything he can to keep this Knicks team afloat, but of course, as you said, having that second and third option in Randle and Anunoby would make a huge difference in how this team functions on the defensive end and on the offensive end, with OG, as you mentioned, his defense being huge and a real force since he's come over from the Raptors, and then Randle, being that a second option on offense and, just giving the Knicks another option when they need to score.
One of the best Cinderella stories in recent years continues to roll on as the 11-seeded NC State Wolfpack took down 2-seeded Marquette in the Sweet 16 and 4-seeded Duke in the Elite 8. They have won 9 games in 19 days since the start of the ACC tournament. The combination of DJ Burns and DJ Horn have led them to a Final Four matchup with Zach Edey and 1-seed Purdue. Ben, is this the end of their run, or do they have a championship berth or victory in their future?
It would be a lot of fun to see NC State keep dancing into the final of this year's March Madness. But it's going to be so interesting and so much fun to watch a matchup between DJ Burns and Zach Edey on both sides of the court, because, I mean, DJ Burns really being one of the more exciting players in this tournament, and then Zach Edey, of course, being 7'4", and being really a big talk of college basketball for the last few years. So to see them, come head to head now, heading into this final, it's going to be really, really fun to watch. But Edey's done a good job of staying out of foul trouble, so Diarra, Burns, and Middlebrooks are going to need to do a good job of making sure that they can get fouls onto him, because that might make it a little bit more difficult for Purdue to score an offense.
Yeah, I'm not sure that this team can stop Zach Edey. I think he's easily the best player they've come up against so far. Diarra and Burns have been a great duo down low, especially DJ Burns. I saw today that NFL scouts think he could be a potential offensive tackle if he didn't want to go play basketball. I mean, but Edey's just a monster, 7'4". You mentioned the foul trouble that he's not getting into as a big man. And then he's also averaging 30 and 16 rebounds in this tournament. He's just incredibly good, has incredible self-control down low, has a range of post moves. It's going to be incredibly hard to stop him, and I just don't know that NC State has the players to do it.
After being out for 2 months with a knee injury, Sixers center Joel Embiid could return at some point this week, with the playoffs right around the corner. This is a huge return, as the Sixers have struggled with him out of the lineup, sitting at 40-35 in the 8th spot in the Eastern Conference. Are the Sixers a scary team as a lower seed with the return of Embiid, Brian?
I mean, yeah, they're incredibly scary with the return of Joel Embiid. I mean, right now they're sitting at that 8th seed, like you mentioned, but they very easily in these last 7 games of the season could jump their way up into those lower, not play-in teams, 6, 5, or maybe even 4 if they really go off in these final games with him in the lineup. Any team is going to be scared to see that. I think if they run into Boston, it's probably the best case scenario for every team in the Eastern Conference, because I think Boston could match up well. But any other team, if they jump a couple of spots, they get the Magic, the Knicks, it's going to be extremely hard. A team that could have been a top 3 seed should Sixers had kept Embiid the entire season. it's going to, they're not. The Sixers are going to be really good and really hard to stop is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when Embiid comes back and that cohesiveness that the team has. But I mean, bringing back Embiid with Tyrese Maxey, who's done really, really well in his absence. However, the team hasn't as much. They've done a kind of serviceable job, as we see on the screen, 11 and 18 since Embiid was injured in late January. Not fantastic, but still hovering a little bit around 500. I know it's still 7 games back, but they're still an above 500 team. And then adding Embiid back into the mix, an absolutely huge. It's almost like a trade deadline acquisition. But it's somebody that you're just getting back, and it's an MVP caliber player in Embiid. This team could be very scary for those top teams if they're a low seed.
The UConn Huskies have been utterly dominant throughout the NCAA tournament, beating opponents by an average of 27.8 points. In their Elite Eight matchup, they were tied at 23 with Illinois with a minute 27 in the game, and they went on a 32-0 run until 13 minutes in the second half. No one has been able to slow down the Huskies through a whole game the entire tournament, and no one they face off against is one of the best offenses in the country coming up in Alabama, who were only held to under 85 points twice in the last 8 games in the month of March. Ben, do the Crimson Tide have what it takes to take down the Huskies?
I mean, I think they do. I think it's really interesting. You just mentioned Alabama's offense. They've been much more consistent during this tournament, which is absolutely huge for them. Of course, in any tournament, you need to be consistent, and they've done just that. But UConn's perimeter defense is going to absolutely suffocate Alabama's long-range shots, and that could be a huge factor in actually holding back their offense from scoring, less than 85 points, as you just mentioned. So this UConn team, I mean, they keep beating these good teams. Like at first, you're like, oh, they beat a lower seed by 30, then they beat a little bit of a lower seed by 30, then they beat Illinois by almost 30 points, and you're like, okay, maybe this UConn team, maybe they're just they're just an unnatural phenomenon here in this March Madness tournament.
Yeah, I mean, just all around through the top 5 into the bench, they're just incredibly good all around. Clingan is a monster. Tristan Newton is an excellent facilitator. You saw it in the game. He didn't even have a lot of points, nothing from the field, and they still managed to win by a lot. Stephon Castle can lock down any team's #1 scorer. Him versus Mark Sears is going to be an excellent matchup. And then Dan Hurley, best coach in college. The adjustments you make at halftime, they've been close at halftime in a lot of games. Coming out of the half every game, they go on incredible runs.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the first weekend of the MLB here on WTOP 10.
Would you like to try snacks from faraway lands? Or snacks with bizarre flavors? How about snacks in new ways? Or snacks you've never tried before? You don't have to go far to find these snacks. They can all be found here at Snacks on West First Street.
Yeah, we're walking around campus, and what do we see? All these clubs are looking.
They looking for me.
There's hockey,
There's improv,
so much to see. So let's go try them out and see how they be. Come on and please watch.
Our embarrassments free.
Tune in to Amateurs on WTOP.
Happy Friday, Lakers, and another beautiful day here in Oswego, New York. I'm DJ Don Perone, and I'm happy that you're starting your weekend off right listening to WNYO 88.9 FM, the Laker Radio Network.
I said, darling, can you see? There's no room for us. There's no room. Now our lives are changing. Promises keep slipping. And I always knew it wasn't you. It wasn't you. Now our lives are changing. Promises keep slipping. And I always knew it wasn't you. It wasn't you.
Welcome back to Stick to Sports. The Boston Red Sox split their first series with the Seattle Mariners to open the season at 2-2. Heading into a season with low expectations, the Red Sox are looking to turn some heads under new management. Brian, what did you see from the Red Sox in their first series of the season? Did you like what you saw?
Yeah, a 2-2 split with a very good Mariners squad. It was an excellent result from the first 4 games of the season. The pitching absolutely turned around by Andrew Bailey, the new pitching coach over from San Francisco. They got 5 innings from all of their starters, like very little runs. It was like home run that Bailey gave up 2 runs. Pavetta gave up just the 1 solo shot. It was just excellent from all of their starters. It was great to see. Tyler O'Neill hit 2 home runs in the first series. He got the record for home runs on opening day, 5 straight opening days with a home run. Rafaela looked really good. And then the only thing, the downside, was Joel Rodriguez giving up a lot of runs out of the bullpen. He was kind of the reason they lost a couple of games. He just did not look good.
I mean, yeah, you mentioned most of the points, that are, because really, they stand out. But like Tyler O'Neill, an awesome offseason pickup for the Red Sox. And then they took 2 games from a strong Mariners team where they didn't have a strong showing from guys like Tristan Casas, Jaron Duran, or Trevor Story. So, it could be a good sign to see that these guys, even without them, they could still win a few games.
The New York Yankees went down to Houston for the opening 4-game series and left winners of all 4. Oswaldo Cabrera solo show with 2 home runs and 6 RBIs, and newly acquired Juan Soto had 9 hits in 16 at-bats and added 3 walks. Ben, is this a sign to come for the Bombers or a flash in the pan?
I think it's absolutely a sign for what's to come. I mean, already seeing huge shifts in what was going on last season with this Yankees team. Already leading the league in pitches per at-bat at 4.19. That's something that they never would be even close to last season. Just the additions of Soto and Verdugo, in both the outfield and on offense, but also the improvement from Volpe and Cabrera that we've already seen. It's still early. They are going to have some rough stretches I'm sure towards the middle of the season, but I like what I've seen, and now we can see their potential and maybe even go beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, take 4 from an Astros team that a lot of people thought could make the World Series this year is an excellent start to the season, especially like a rivalry series like that to open it up. I mean, like I said, Soto looked really good. Judge a little scary with the 125 OPS average and the 398 OPS, but opening series, he's Aaron Judge. He'll most likely turn it around.
The reigning World Series champion Texas Rangers look strong to open up their season against the Chicago Cubs. With a stacked lineup and the addition of the team's top prospects, the Rangers have their eyes set on another title. Brian, what was the biggest factor in the Rangers' chase for back-to-back titles?
I mean, the biggest factor that you have to watch out for is keeping their pitching healthy. They're already down Scherzer and DeGrom. They're going to have to keep the guys that they have healthy, especially Nathan Eovaldi, who does have a history of just kind of picking up knocks here and there to keep him out a couple weeks at a time. The bats, though, in this series did look really good. You look at Langford at 333, average with 3 RBIs. Carter didn't get a hit in the opening series, but walked 5 times. That's crazy for a guy in his rookie season. Seager had 5 hits as well. The team looked really good, and Adolis Garcia, just picking up right where he left off. It was an excellent start. They just got to keep the pitching healthy.
Absolutely. I mean, the consistency in pitching is going to be absolutely huge. They had John Gray in the 3rd game. He did not look very good, giving up the 4 earned runs. So they might end up picking up a pitcher at the trade deadline. That's going to be down the line, but it's certainly something to keep an eye on. But everybody in that first series that you'd expect did look good. Seager, Semien, Langford. I'm expecting more of the same going forward.
The Pittsburgh Pirates headed south to Miami for 4 games with the Marlins and scored more than 6 runs in all 4 while grabbing the sweep. With electric prospect Paul Skeens starting the season in AAA, but not far from a call-up, are the Pirates proving themselves as an NL Central contender?
I don't know about it yet, Brian. I mean, they played the Marlins and today the Nationals. So this Pirates team, this is also something that we saw last year as well. They started the season really, really well, and everybody thought, okay, they're actually going to get over the hump. And then they fell back to earth, and I feel like we're probably going to see more of the same. I think this actually gives them a little bit more of a chance to develop Paul Skeens in AAA. He looked fantastic in his first start there, but maybe soon. But if they start to fall back, we could see him get called up maybe around June. But for this Pirates team, I think it's still a little bit of ways away before they're one of those contenders.
Yeah, I mean, they did only have 3 home runs in 4 games, but the Marlins have a good pitching rotation. Brian Hayes looked really good with a 444 average and 2 doubles. The starting pitching was shaky, though, which is something to watch out for. You can't go far on a shaky starting rotation, but the bullpen did only allow only 2 runs. So there's kind of some bright spots and some low spots to look out for on this Pirates team.
The New York Mets squared off with the Milwaukee Brewers at Citi Field, and the Brewers made quick work of them, sweeping the 3-game series. Tensions were high in this series after a dangerous slide into second base by Rhys Hoskins, and the Brewers proved to be the better team. What went wrong for the Mets, Brian?
I mean, it's a lack of pitching right now. They need Kodai Senga back. He'll be back in a couple weeks, but then they go off and they lose Tyler McGill. So it's just like this pitching is lacking. It's weird to say, but they might be missing David Peterson, who's a pretty like bipolar pitcher. He's good sometimes, not very bad other times. They're gonna want JD Martinez to be ready as soon as possible to be a veteran bat presence in the middle of this lineup. And the bullpen looked really shaky throughout this entire series. The only kind of bright spot was a nice start from Quintana on opening night.
Yeah, I mean, the offense, that's supposed to be the bright spot for this Mets team, and it did not get off to a really good start. It did, kind of put up 6 runs in that second game, but wasn't quite enough. It was too little, too late. And then, the Rhys Hoskins slide, that dirty play that everybody believes is a dirty play, didn't really light a fire on them to push them over that edge.
In a weak AL Central, it could all take one hot month from a team to take a commanding lead. The Tigers got their season started red hot, taking down their division rivals, the Chicago White Sox, in 3 straight games. Ben, are the Tigers establishing themselves as the favorite for the division?
They absolutely have a chance to turn things around in the AL Central and really sort of take that top spot. That division is always up for grabs, but with Tarek Skubal as a Cy Young candidate, the young pitcher, their southpaw that, he kind of is building himself up over the last few years, is finally, starting to, turn heads and sort of garner that attention that he's starting to deserve. And then also need the young guys like Torkelson and Green to have another leap in the offensive categories. And, with that, could provide them a boost towards the top of the AL Central.
Yeah, I would say Tarek Skubal, I literally wrote on my sheet here, Cy Young question mark. He looked really good, but it is just the White Sox. Jack Flaherty came to play in the bullpen, just 1 earned run over those 3 games. The bats were okay. Mark Canha and Craig Carpenter played pretty well, but the rest of the team was a little shaky. Javi Baez, obviously just kind of a black hole there, but the team looked good through 3 games, but it is the White Sox. Same thing with the Pirates. They played the Marlins. The Tigers played the White Sox. Kind of low teams. You got to see what they do versus better teams. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Ben will be joined by one of our producers, Alex Brooks, here on WTOP 10.
Say, President Stanley, whenever there's bad weather, who would you turn to?
I'd turn to Storm Team 10.
No,
right
but you've
here.
got to say it like this. Storm Team 10. Say it with me. Storm Team 10.
Roll it.
Jill told me it was Kitty from Glee. Yeah, what is it?
Al Roker.
Welcome back to Stick to Sports. Joining me now is Alex Brooks, one of our producers. Alex, what do you have for us tonight?
Well, Ben, I thought I'd be late to the party as starting off this MLB edition of the Fast Break. There was a lot of eye-opening storylines from the weekend, from the brooms on Houston and Miami. Ben, what was your opening weekend takeaway as the season is upon us?
I mean, my main takeaway had to be the Arizona Diamondbacks. You know, they went 3-1 that first series against the Rockies, and they scored 32 runs in 4 games. And I mean, my player to watch in that one was Lourdes Gurriel Jr. I mean, you look at the stats right there. absolutely, raking. Not his average isn't even the highest in the league, but still very impressive. 471 average, 3 home runs, and 10 RBIs in one series. I'm looking for him to be an X factor for this Diamondbacks team, probably going throughout the season, because we saw what he did last year in the playoffs as well. He's going to be very important.
Yeah, and we're talking about some hype trains right now. The New York Yankees swept the Houston Astros, and my takeaway is that this team is different. I mean, they were a team that always hit it out of the park. They used a lot of small ball that generated into runs. Soto, Verdugo are really nice fits in the outfield. Mentioned Cabrera, mentioned Volpe, really doing well in their second and third years. And one thing to notice is that unlike 2023, the Yankees can succeed without Judge being successful. Staying with the Yankees series, the team that came out feeling not so great was the Houston Astros, who got swept to start the season for the second time in franchise history, dating back to 1978. Ben, I know it's only April, but I'll raise the statement. This is the start of the decline for the Houston Astros. Overreaction or not?
Absolutely, Alex. It's absolutely an overreaction. I mean, Houston still has their offensive core that's carried them over the last many seasons of Altuve, Tucker, Alvarez. So I don't think they're going anywhere for any time soon. The starters, I feel, just had those first series jitters. It's going to happen, but this Astros team is certainly not worse than any of the Astros teams we've seen in recent history.
No, they're not worse, but I'm going to say it's not an overreaction. And going back, Houston already just got a no-hitter, so I was going to talk about the pitching, but obviously they proved me wrong there. But, I mean, their bullpen has major issues. That's going to be something to watch out for Houston. I would say the decline is not that they won't make the playoffs. I just feel like with the Rangers now being the leaders in the division, I feel like it's going to be more tough for them to repeat. Let's take our conversation to the Windy City as the Chicago Cubs defeated the Colorado Rockies in their home opener 5-0 after an impressive showing from Shota Imanga in his MLB debut. The southpaw from Japan didn't take long to break in the big leagues with over 9 strikeouts and no runs. Ben, is he the next ace for the Cubs?
I mean, he was awesome in his first start for the Cubs. I mean, you see it right there. 16 pitched, only 2 hits allowed and 9 strikeouts. I mean, I think it's just because of the Yamamoto sweepstakes over the winter was because he didn't get as much hype. But he is an awesome pitcher, and if you saw it from last year's World Baseball Classic, he showed it then as well. He really just went under the radar, and the Cubs got a really good one. He absolutely could be that ace for the future of this Cubs team.
Yeah, and I feel like the only pitcher on this team that really has ace potential is Kyle Hendricks. And I feel like for Shota, he's a 30-year-old pitcher. He's not young, but I feel like he's already had that experience in Japan. He's already had that experience pitching in big games, and now he's going to a Cubs team that's very young, but also very hungry for some playoff experience, some championship experience. So, and first impressions last, and I think he'll do well going in his career.
We're going to take a quick break here on Stick to Sports. Thanks once again to Alex for the fast break. And when we come back, Brian, Alex, and I will head into extra innings. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Stick to Sports on WTOP 10.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Shine on that boy.
Look at the bling. Do we got a diamond tester on? Yeah, that's getting bad. Yep.
10 out of 10 recommend on Yelp.
We're going to the playoffs. I can't believe I missed that. Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone. What? I should take your phone away. No. I'll call for a ride. Hey, why does my face look like that?
I'm playing with these new face filters.
Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine.
I'm gonna need that back.
No.
Kevin!
Welcome back to Stick to Sports. Now let's get ready for another edition of everyone's favorite segment, Extra Innings. Well, guys, let's take a look at the Week 5 Extra Innings standings here. And Brian, Ben, you guys are up right now.
2 straight strong weeks.
There you go. There you go.
I love it. I love it.
Here we go. Here we go. Let's go. Well,
we're all 500 or better.
We're all 500. Yeah, I mean,
I think it was better than last semester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you both ended up under 500 last semester.
I think so.
Well, we're going to want to change that going into these matchups. Starting off in the men's Final Four in Arizona as number 4 Alabama faces off against number 1 UConn. Brian, are your defending champs going back to the championship?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Alabama's been great. They have an excellent offense. Their defense has actually stepped up in this tournament, which was a little surprising. But no one's stopping this UConn team. They just are dominant on all levels of the court. It's going to be UConn.
I'm going to agree with you here, Brian. I mean, you really just can't go against UConn at this point, just seeing what they've done so far in this tournament. However, I do think that Alabama might cover that 11.5 spread that is put on them right now. I think that either that's a hot take, I don't know, but I'm taking UConn.
Yeah, I feel like UConn is going to win this and defend their championship in the championship round. So everyone for the UConn Huskies, no doubt there. Moving over to the other Final Four matchup as the NC State Wolfpack face off against the number 1 Purdue Boilermakers. Ben, does the Cinderella story continue for the Wolfpack?
I really hope so. I think it'd be a lot of fun to see NC State make it to the finals of this March Madness tournament. Just make the Cinderella story so much more sweeter, and to go up against UConn, I think that'd be a really fun game.
I think it'd be a really fun game, as you say, did it, but I don't think it's going to happen. And I do think also Purdue-UConn would be a great game. I think that's what we're going to see. Edey versus Clingan will be an absolutely electric matchup, too, to watch. I think that's what we're going to get.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have the NC State upset Purdue, but I'm going to take Purdue in this one. I feel like 2 number 1s in the championship is the pick for me. We move to the MLB as the 2-3 Toronto Blue Jays face off against the 1-4 Astros after the Houston Astros got a no-hitter. So, Brian, will Houston get out of their funk from the Yankee series?
Yeah, I do think they're going to get out of this funk. Like you said, they just hit the Blue Jays, and I think from here it's kind of starting to step up again. And the Blue Jays, I don't know, this year I don't think they're going to be as good. So give me the Astros.
I think that this game tonight with the no-hitter was a little bit of a flash in the pan, as we mentioned earlier about having flash in the pan with just being early in the season. But I think Barrios is going to do a much better job tomorrow night than what happened tonight.
And I am going to take the Houston Astros. I know that I said that they were going to go on the decline, but I feel like they're going to turn it around against the Blue Jays. So we'll move over to our next matchup where the 3-1 Guardians will head to the Emerald City to face off against the Mariners. Ben, which team are you taking here?
I'm taking the Mariners. I think they're the more well-rounded team. They're the stronger team this season, although the Guardians can be sneaky good. But right now, I'm not too sure where the Guardians stand this season, just because the AL Central is always a little iffy.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Mariners here. They're coming off 2-2 versus the Red Sox. They were up, as last I saw, against the Guardians tonight, and I think they'll continue that and kind of use the Guardians as their springboard here.
Yeah, I agree with you, Brian. I'm going to go with the Mariners as well. So we'll head to our final game as the classic San Fran-LA rivalry has another classic in store. Brian, are you riding with the Dodger Blue or the Bay Black and Orange?
Yeah, give me Dodger Blue here. I think they're just too good. They are a regular season team. It's every year, and I think they're going to take this early rivalry matchup and probably even get a sweep this time.
I mean, I agree. I mean, there's no reason to go against the Dodgers in this one.
Yeah, we're all going to pick the Dodgers in this last matchup, so we're riding high with the Dodger Blue.
I mean, you really can't go against them. The Giants made a lot of great changes this offseason, but the Dodgers are just the better team.
Yeah, Dodgers are better.
In this first matchup, you just got to go with them. But that's all the time we have on this episode of Stick to Sports. Be sure to tune in next week right here on WTOP 10.